In this video, we are going to be learning how to do while and for each loops, and then we're also going to learn how to merge and append. So for the sake of time constraints, I've already gone ahead and collected the data. So here's a problem that occurs a lot actually. So we have two variables, the industrial production index and payrolls, and we have it by month through 2012. And then in another Excel sheet we have 2013, and then we also have 2014. So we have different sheets down at the bottom with the same variables for different years, and we want to go through and append them. So we need to stack 2013 and 2014 so we have a consistent series of the IPI and a consistent series of the payrolls. So going into Stata, bring up our do file, and here's what we have. So we can be using the import Excel. So import Excel using our location.xlsx, and then it's sheet 2012. The first row is to show that we have variable names in the first row, so Stata understands that it's going to be not read the first row when it's data, and then we're going to save that as append.dta. So we're bringing in the first sheet, sheet 2012, into Excel, and then we're going to save it. After we save that, we're going to go through and we're going to set up a local x equals 2013. So that's going to be our next sheet. The great thing about local variables in Stata is it's very universal. So I can say while, and I have this kind of a forward slash or a backslash x and apostrophe is less than or equal to 2014. So in this case, this x is going to be 2013 and 2014. I'm going to import sheet x because that's going to be the name of our sheet, so we have a sheet 2013. Then I'm going to have the first row in clear again, and then I'm going to use the append command. So we have append using the data set that I already saved, and this force just tells us that if we have one variable might be a string 1 year and numbers a second year, it's going to force it to be a string for all the years, so that way we can actually go through and append. If we don't have that force, Stata might run into some problems and stop the process. And then we're going to save this append.dta, replace it, and then we're going to add 1 to x, so x goes from 2013 to 2014, and then we do the same thing with sheet 2014, and then it's going to stop. So if I just go through and run this, I'm bringing in the Excel sheet for 2012, and I look at the data, and I see that I have 2012 here. So when we use the append command, it doesn't have to be in the same order. I could have date in the last column, and instead it would understand how to append by variable names. But the variable names need to be the same for all sheets that we're bringing in to append. So if we go back and then we run this whole thing, so again, using this for 2012, it's saving it, and then I'm going in and using 2013, so we're bringing in 2013, appending it to 2012, which I did up here, and then saving it, so now I have 2012 and 2013 appended, saved, and then I add 1, so 2014 is coming in, and then I do 2014, and then I add it all together, and it should have 2012, 2013, and 2014 all in. So if I go through and do that, it says the file was saved, and the file was saved because we saved twice. And now if I look at the data, I see that I have 2014, 2013, and then I go down and I have 2012 as well. So now if you encounter problems where you have variables that are broken up by year, we can use the append command to append these different sheets. Sometimes data files may come in 2 parts, and we need to append the parts simply because old Excel couldn't handle that many rows. And so you're going to be using the append command to append those 2 sheets together. Okay, so that's one problem that we have, is we have different sheets by different years having the same variables, and we need to append them together. And we just use a simple while loop in this case with the local x. The next problem that we can occur is what happens if we have another Excel sheet with different variables in different sheets. So here I have payrolls for non-farm employees. I have the consumer price index, the federal funds rate, and the unemployment rate, and it's all by month. And I need to go through and I need to add all of these into one data set. So I should have payrolls, the CPI, federal funds rate, and the unemployment rate all here, and I need them all added together based on the time. So we have different numbers. So payroll started in 1939, CPI starts in 1947, federal funds rate in 1954, and 1948 for the unemployment rate. In Excel, this would be equivalent to a VLOOKUP command, but in Stata, we're going to be using merge. So if I go back, let me close this sheet, and then I'll pull up my do file. Take this off. I'll comment out what I just did. Okay, so now I'm going to import Excel using Stata merge, and I'm going to in-sheet the payrolls. So this is the payroll sheet in Excel, and again I have the first row and the clear command in there. And then I'm going to save this as a merge.dta. Okay, the next command I have, instead of local x, I have local sheets equals CPI FF unemployment rate. So if you notice, those are the names of the sheets in the Excel data that I need to bring in besides the payroll sheets, which I'm doing first. So here separated, I have it in parentheses to denote that it's not a number but a string, and I have a space to separate the different sheets. Now I'm going to use the for each command. So for each y in sheets, so here I have the sheets, and I have again, like I did with the x, I have the kind of the / sheets and then the apostrophe, and then I have my curly bracket to open up the for each loop, and then I'm going to be using import Excel using that, and then sheet y, because I used for each y in this string. So it's going to bring in, first it's going to bring in the CPI. The next thing it's going to do is merge, and I'm using 1-to-1 here because I have one time series in the merge data, which is the payrolls in this case, matching with one time series or one number in the CPI sheet, which I'm bringing in. So I use the 1-to-1. And I'm merging based on the date. So the date, or the time, is when I'm going to be merging these. So I need to specify what column am I actually merging these on. So in VLOOKUP, that would be the column that you click first. And then we're going to be using the DTA that I just saved. And again, I have the force command, so it forces strings if there were numbers before. And I have this node gen here because Stata generates a variable called merge, _merge, if it generates a variable _merge, and it tells you how the variable is merged up. And I don't need that data in there. I can just drop that. And then I'm going to save it, and then I'm ending my loop, and so it's going to go back to the top and say, now I need to bring in federal funds rate. So my merge data now has payrolls and the CPI. And then I'm going to import the federal funds sheet, merge it with the payrolls and the CPI, and then do it again for the unemployment rate. So if I run this, what I get is we can see that we have date, unemployment rate, federal funds rate, CPI, and payrolls all in a sheet. And I open it up, and sure enough, I have data for the unemployment rate, the federal funds rate, the CPI, payrolls. And if we look, I have a bunch of missing stuff here, but we can go through and we can easily fix that by sorting. Sort by date. And now if we look, 2015 is down at the bottom. I go up to the top, and for 1939 I have payrolls. And then 1947 the CPI comes in, 1948 the unemployment rate comes in, and finally the federal rate comes in 1954.